going to do? Today we will revise risk management, business finance and business valuation. Okay. Now, starting with risk management, of course, risk management, as I told you before, also is a very big topic, but right now we are focusing on only currency risk, right? When we started off with currency risk, we saw that currency risk could be of three types. So there could be transaction risk, translation risk, and economic risk. Transaction risk is the biggest risk that we are talking about, which is the risk of the exchange rate changing between the transaction date and the settlement date. So that is a risk we are taking, and that is a risk we want to protect ourselves against. Translation risk is not a monetary risk really. It is just a book risk. It is just a book risk. So on the consolidation date, if there is a change in the value of assets or liabilities of the subsidiary due to change in exchange rate, typically companies don't do anything about translation risk because it is not an actual cash risk. It is just a book loss. But if you remember, I had told you कि अगर सब्सिडरी बहुत बड़ी है और सब्सिडरी की वैल्यू चेंज होने के वजह से तुम्हारा ओवरऑल वैल्यूएशन चेंज हो जाता है, तुम्हारा स्टॉक मार्केट में शेयर प्राइस गिर सकता है, तो कंपनीज हेज अगेंस्ट ट्रांसलेशन रिस्क आल्सो. All right, that's one rare occurrence where companies hedge against translation risk. फिर रहा economic risk. Economic risk is the long-term risk that you are taking because you are dealing with an XYZ country, and it could be a loss of competitive strength due to changes in exchange rate. So economic risk could be, let's say, India and country X, right? And country X gets into some kind of trouble, like like the current situation, like a war या कोई trade war चल रहा है या कुछ भी चल रहा है, country X की economy is not doing well, तो ये हमारी economic risk हो गई country X के साथ. इसमें हम directly affect हो गए क्योंकि हमारा और country X का exchange rate affect हो गया. Another risk, if you remember, we had studied, country X also deals with country Y, and X and Y का exchange rate moved favorably. Because X and Y का exchange rate moved favorably, our goods have started looking more expensive. तो even if हमारी country का और country X का exchange rate change नहीं हुआ, X and Y का exchange rate change होने के वजह से it has impacted us, right? That could be one indirect impact under economic risk. How do we hedge economic risk? इकोनॉमिक रिस्क कैसे हेज करते हैं हम? What is the only solution to economic risk? Diversification. Don't be over dependent on any one country. This definitely remember, इस पे 2 मार्क का क्वेश्चन तो आने ही वाला है कि economic risk how do you handle? How can you hedge yourself against economic risk? You can hedge only by diversification. Don't be over dependent on any one country. Are we okay? Then if you remember, we saw the various theories on what causes changes in exchange rates. So in that, we first saw the IRPT theory. In the IRPT theory, we saw that the future spot rate is equal to the difference. No, I'm sorry, the forward rate is the difference in interest rates. The forward rate is the difference in interest rate, and the future spot S1 is equal to difference in inflation rate. वहां पे पूरा आर्बिट्राज का कॉन्सेप्ट आ जाता है कि कैसे इंटरनेशनल ट्रेडर्स विल टेक अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ डिफरेंस इन प्राइसेस और डिफरेंस इन इंटरेस्ट रेट, एंड दे विल ट्रेड बिटवीन दोस टू कंट्रीज टू एन एक्सटेंट वेयर द आर्बिट्राज इफेक्ट इज लॉस्ट. And who makes sure that arbitrage effect is lost? Exchange rate. Exchange rate will climb or fall and make the investors arbitrage effect lost. So we've seen first IRPT theory, then we saw the PPPT theory, and or vice versa, so on so forth. Then came Fisher. Yeah, Fisher said you cannot look at all this in isolation. First thing Fisher said is there is something called as an expectation theory. which will mean that as a normal investor in the market, I will expect that the future spot and forward will be the same. एक दिन पे दो एक्सचेंज रेट तो नहीं हो सकते, तो हम एक्सपेक्ट करेंगे कि फ्यूचर स्पॉट एंड फॉरवर्ड सेम हो जाएगा. इसका मतलब दिस इज इक्वल टू दिस. So if this is equal to this, then this also should be equal to this. Are we okay? So that was the Fisher effect, or that was also the four-way equivalence, because everything is connected to everything else finally. Are we okay? Again, in your section C answer preparation, make a note of this international Fisher's effect. I have seen कि अगर section C में इसमें 3-4 मार्क आ जाते हैं, explain the Fisher's effect और explain the four-way equivalence between exchange rates, students are not able to write. Students are not able to write. तो ये एक section C का आंसर तुम्हें रेडी रखना है, ठीक है. Now, once we saw that, then we moved on to how do we hedge foreign currency risk. All right. उसमें we had started off with the most simple method, which was a forward contract. You don't have to do anything in a forward contract. You just go to the bank and tell them, I have a receipt or a payment of an X amount on a X date. Give me an exchange rate. Bank will give you an exchange rate. You are hedged. You will pay the bank commission and life is sorted. All right. But what is the problem with forward contract? It's a contract. It's a binding obligation. If I say कि 10th August को $1 million आएगा, तो अगर नहीं आया तो अभी तुम कहीं से भी $1 million लेके आओ और बैंक को दो. You will have to go and honor the commitment even if the money comes or money goes. Are we okay? वो है forward contract. Another thing about forward contract you have to remember from our point of view, calculation point of view. अभी सबसे बड़ा डर मुझे foreign currency calculation में वही है. First of all, तुमको समझा है क्या transaction क्या है? If you remember, I had told you how to neatly write everything first. What is our home currency? Which is the foreign currency? What are we doing? Are we buying foreign currency or are we selling foreign currency? Right? Now, once you've seen that, then put down the exchange rate properly. Let's say $1 is equal to how many pounds, or 1 pound is equal to how many dollars. Use the unitary method if you are not sure whether to multiply or to divide. Unitary method, you will never go wrong. क्योंकि तुम डॉलर के नीचे डॉलर लिखोगे, फिर पाउंड इज इक्वल टू क्वेश्चन मार्क, फिर तुम क्रॉस मल्टीप्लाई करोगे तो डिवाइड या मल्टीप्लाई बराबर सॉर्ट आउट हो जाता है. So don't take a chance, do the unitary method only. Are we okay? Base currency कैसे आइडेंटिफाई होती है? जो जिसका 1 यूनिट की वैल्यू दी, अगर 1 पाउंड इज इक्वल टू दिया है तो पाउंड इज बेस करेंसी. $1 इज इक्वल टू कुछ दिया है तो dollar is the base currency. So all these small rules, please remember before you touch down on foreign currency calculations. Are we okay? ये 2-3 चीजें sort हो गई, then nobody can stop you. Then the calculation part is very easy. All right? वो हो गया forward contract. Then we come to money market hedge. Money market hedge में थोड़ा लंबा चौड़ा है calculation. As I told you at that time also, first build on your logic. First build on your logic, and logic is very simple. Whatever I will do on the due date, I will do it today only. तुम ये सोच के चालू करोगे ना calculation, you will not go wrong, because then automatically questions come. On due date, I will receive dollars and I will sell dollars. So what will I do today? I will sell dollars today only. But do I have dollars? No, I don't have dollars. So what will I do? I will borrow in. I will borrow in dollars. So you start with that logic कि जो मैं 3 महीने बाद करने वाला हूँ वो आज ही कर लूँ, तो automatically the flow of money market hedge goes proper, right? नहीं छोड़ा है कि चलो अभी एग्जाम आ गई है, 2 दिन बचे हैं, अभी तक मनी मार्केट हेज नहीं हुआ है, तो स्टेप्स लर्न कर लेना. Period. Why to lose marks on money market hedge of all the places, right? बाकी तो बस फोकस चाहिए, पिकअप द राइट एक्सचेंज रेट, कब स्पॉट लेना है, कब ड्यू डेट का रेट लेना है एंड सो ऑन। ऑलराइट, देन फ्यूचर्स वी अंडरस्टूड, थ्योरी है, हमको कैलकुलेशन नहीं है फ्यूचर्स का। फ्यूचर्स का वंस अगेन इन योर नोट्स मेक अ पॉइंट फ्यूचर्स के बारे में, व्हेन टू बाय एंड सेल फ्यूचर, दैट्स द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग। फ्यूचर्स एंड ऑप्शंस का तुम्हें यही चीज रिवाइज करनी है, व्हेन टू बाय एंड व्हेन टू sell. Those are the most common MCQs on futures and options. Another thing you have to pay attention to is basis risk. What is basis risk? Basis risk can be because exact number of contracts नहीं होते हैं. Basis risk can also be because तुम्हारा perfect hedge नहीं होगा. तुमने जैसे सोचा था फ्यूचर्स प्राइस चेंज होगा, वैसे फ्यूचर्स प्राइस चेंज नहीं हुआ, तो प्रॉफिट इज नॉट इक्वल टू लॉस. प्रॉफिट इज नॉट इक्वल टू लॉस. सो फ्यूचर्स ऑप्शंस में ये 2-3 चीजें तुमको 100% रिवाइज करके लेंगे. Are we okay? एक another common question that comes is difference between OTC and traded. कौन महंगा रहेगा? OTC will be more expensive. Over the counter means customized to our needs. So definitely it's going to be more expensive. Traded means it's on the exchange. Are we good, everybody? Lovely. Then we moved on to interest rate risk. Okay, interest rate risk में we spoke about first thing we spoke about is a normal yield curve. Okay, now interest rate risk का problem क्या है? ये questions में ना हर टाइम अलग नाम लेते हैं. कभी ग्रॉस रिडेम्पशन यील्ड बोलते हैं, कभी सिर्फ यील्ड बोलते हैं, कभी रेट रिस्क बोलते हैं, सो देयर आर, कभी रिटर्न बोलते हैं, सो देयर आर डिफरेंट नेम्स दैट दे यूज, बट यू हैव टू रिमेंबर सबका मतलब एक ही है. वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द इंटरेस्ट रेट. ऑलराइट, एक्स एक्सिस पे इयर्स टू मैच्योरिटी होती है, वाई एक्सिस पे यील्ड होती है. नॉर्मल यील्ड कर्व विल ऑलवेज बी अपवर्ड स्लोपिंग, व्हिच मींस दैट टिपिकली शॉर्ट term borrowing will be cheaper than long term borrowing and it fits our logic. या फिर अगर मैं डिपॉजिट करने जा रही हूं तो शॉर्ट टर्म डिपॉजिट पे मुझे कम इंटरेस्ट मिलेगा, बट लॉन्ग टर्म डिपॉजिट पे मुझे ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट मिलेगा. लॉजिकल है क्योंकि मैंने ज्यादा रिस्क लिए है, मैंने ज्यादा टाइम के लिए आई हैव kept my money aside. That's the normal yield curve. But we saw a lot of other yield curves also. There was an inverted yield curve, reverse yield curve. There was that yield curve with a little wiggle, right? So make sure you revise those graphs, all those graphs, क्योंकि वो graphs पे भी questions वो लोग पूछते हैं. Okay, when it comes to hedging of interest rate risk, FRA is the most famous and the only calculation we saw. FRA is a combination of forward and future. फॉरवर्ड क्यों? क्योंकि जैसे फॉरवर्ड में बैंक हमें एक रेट दे देता है, वैसे हमारे लोन या डिपॉजिट के लिए बैंक हमें एक रेट दे देगा. In this respect, FRA is like a forward agreement that my rate is fixed. How is it like future? In futures, you are protected against any downside risk, but you cannot take advantage of any upside potential. You remember, no? Because it's a contract. कल को अगर मेरे मार्केट में फेवरेबल रेट हुआ तो फ्यूचर में मुझे मेरा कमिटमेंट ऑनर करना ही पड़ता है. आई हैव टू क्लोज माय पोजीशन इन द एक्सचेंज. ऑप्शन में आई हैव एन ऑप्शन. ऑप्शन में आई हैव एन ऑप्शन. तो सिमिलरली इन एन FRA, इफ लेट्स से बैंक ने तुम्हारे लोन पे तुम्हें रेट गारंटी की है 10%, और जिस दिन तुम लोन लेने जाते हो उस दिन लोन 8% पे मिल रहा है, तुम पछतावे के अलावा और कुछ नहीं कर सकते. बिकॉज बैंक बोलेगा मैंने तुमको 10% प्रॉमिस किया, तुम्हारा एक्चुअल रेट 8% है, 2% मुझे दो. You all remember that calculation? We had seen what will happen if rate goes down and what will happen if rate goes up. Rate goes down, we will have to pay the bank. Rate goes up, Bank will have to pay us compensation. End of the day, we fix a price now for a future transaction. IRG, interest rate guarantee, is an option on the forward. If rate moves in my favor, I can very well back out from it. IRF is a tradable version of a forward but may create an imperfect hedge. Currency ka futures, वैसे ही interest rate ka futures. And interest rate swaps. You remember? The swap could be fixed for variable or variable for fixed. There is also a currency swap. इसमें पूरे की पूरी currency swap हो जाती है, loan amount. And then the interest also. So please make sure you know the difference between interest rate swap and currencies. Are we okay, everybody? Lovely. हो गया तुम्हारा risk management. हाँ, हमको कितना टाइम लगा था पढ़ने में, यहाँ स्लाइड में 2 इसमें खत्म कर दिया है. हाँ, वैसा. So that was your risk management. Then we move on to the next topic, which is sources of finance. So risk management, ideally speaking, is a very manageable topic. छोटा भी है, उसके ऊपर questions भी almost 30 marks के आते हैं. If I were you, मैं वो 2 chapter by heart ही कर लेती थी. 30 marks किसको बोलते हैं? It's a lot. It's a lot. So if little bit you manage section C and if you manage risk management, वहीं पे you are guaranteed that you will clear. So risk management, I would say just by heart it only towards the end of the exam, towards closer to exam. Yeah. Great. Then we come to sources of finance. In sources of finance, of course, there is no point in revising too much. We all know sources of finance is either equity or debt. Equity may it could be either internally generated funds, which is retained earnings, or it could be ordinary shares. Equity में preference shares भी आते हैं. Preference shares is also one special type of equity. Others may long-term debt, debentures or preference shares. They are treating preference shares almost as debt. Then medium term could be leasing or hire purchase. Short term could be trade credit and overdraft, and anything else like special purpose, government grant hone do, venture capitalist hone do, angel financing hone do, it can be anything. Make a note please everybody, sources of finance में SME के sources of finance एक बार go through करना. Because what happens, बड़े बड़े companies के sources of finance हमें याद रहते हैं. अगर कोई small and medium enterprise का sources of finance पे question आ जाता है, तो we are blank. And what are the challenges? Funding gap. Huh? SMEs they face a funding gap, and mainly because they don't have any assets to show. They don't have any assets to mortgage or hypothecate. They don't have any robust income earnings to show. Right? So they struggle. So make sure that you go through SME funding. All right. Equity and all long-term sources of finance, you will access the capital market. All the short-term sources of finance, you will access through the money market. Are we okay? That's the difference between capital and money market. How to do new share issues? We are good. I think common knowledge सबको है. Quickly एक बार go through कर लेना. There is not much in detail. Nobody asks a question like a new issue कैसे करेंगे. But order मालूम होना चाहिए. Placing, offer for sale, sale by tender, intermediaries offer and rights issue. Then we saw what is the meaning of rights issue. Rights issue के अंदर we saw this calculation of TERP. Again, TERP is a sure shot 2 to 4 marks. Sure shot. So make sure you understand the TERP. It's very easy. TERP is very easy. All right. So all you have to do is calculate the theoretical X rights market price, which is value of existing share plus proceeds from new issue divided by number of shares in issue after the rights issue. You can calculate what is the value of that right. Value of the right is TERP minus the issue price, right? And value of right per existing share. मतलब हमने ये जो value of every right निकाला है, ये राइट मिलने के लिए हमने कितने शेयर्स दिए, हमने कितने शेयर्स दिए. सो नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स नीडेड टू हैव द राइट. सो आर एवरी एग्जिस्टिंग शेयर के पीछे वैल्यू ऑफ राइट कितना है. राइट. फॉर्मूला एक चीज है, ब्रॉड अंडरस्टैंडिंग रखो क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पे. राइट्स इश्यू होने के बाद शेयर प्राइस 100% गिरेगा. राइट. और राइट्स इश्यू के बाद जो शेयर प्राइस होगी वो होगी टीईआर. बिजनेस वैल्यूएशन में इफ यू रिमेंबर वी हैड यूज्ड दिस कॉन्सेप्ट कि one of the ways in which company was thinking of raising finance was through rights issue. Right. Now, when we had to calculate the capital gain of shareholders, we said that we subtracted TERP from the existing share price. So you have to use this knowledge कि राइट्स के बाद शेयर प्राइस क्या हो जाएगी, TERP. या फिर तुम सोचते हो कि TERP होगी बट एक्चुअल शेयर प्राइस कुछ और है. समझ रहे हो. हमने TERP निकाली $2.5 बट कंपनी का एक्चुअल शेयर प्राइस निकला $5. तो तुम्हारा गेन कैसे कैलकुलेट होगा, 2.5 - 5, नॉट द एग्जिस्टिंग शेयर प्राइस. अभी ओके. सो ये सब कब पॉसिबल है, जब कॉन्सेप्ट दिमाग में क्लियर है कि TERP मतलब क्या, मैं क्या कैलकुलेट कर रही हूँ, व्हाट इज गोइंग टू हैपन टू द शेयर प्राइस एंड सो ऑन. अभी ओके एवरीबॉडी. Debt versus equity, now what to talk, everybody understands na, advantages disadvantages of debt, advantages disadvantages of equity. हाँ ये SME उन्होंने किया है, चलो गुड. Now that is the reason why there is a full slide on SME because SME पे आते रहते हैं बीच बीच में, MCQs आते हैं, section B आता है, section C आता है and so on so forth. So you should know the theory on why they can have difficulty in raising finance. Then funding gap जो हमने बात किया अभी is difficulty in raising finance. Maturity gap is where it is easier for SMEs to raise long-term finance secured against long-term assets than short-term finance that may be preferred. They want short-term finance, but they are not getting. They are getting long-term. That's called maturity gap. Sources of finance for SME. मैंने ये बोला था तुमको, एंजल फाइनेंसिंग, VC, गवर्नमेंट असिस्टेंस, सप्लाई चेन फाइनेंसिंग, क्राउड फंडिंग एंड सो ऑन सो फोर्थ. और एक चीज तुम्हारे रिवीजन में नोट कर लो, सप्लाई चेन फाइनेंसिंग और क्राउड फंडिंग पे कुछ नहीं तो एक छोटा वीडियो देख, या चैट जीपीटी को बोलो गिव मी अ शॉर्ट नोट ऑन सप्लाई चेन फाइनेंसिंग, या गिव मी अ शॉर्ट नोट ऑन क्राउड फंडिंग. ये दोनों याद करके जाना. अभी ओके. हाँ, peer to peer, yes, absolutely. So वो जो जरा ऑफ बीट सोर्सेज ऑफ फाइनेंस है उनको चेक करना. ठीक है. इस्लामिक फाइनेंस अब मैं क्या ही बोलूं, ये देखो इन्होंने की टर्म्स यहाँ पे तुम्हारे लिए समराइज किए हैं. मुझे लगता है अगर ये याद रखोगे तो तुम्हारा इस्लामिक फाइनेंस मोर और लेस सॉर्टेड हो जाता है. मुराबाहा इज ट्रेड क्रेडिट, इजारा इज लीज फाइनेंस, सुकूक इज debt finance, mudaraba is equity finance, and musharaka is venture capital. All right. But so basically Islamic finance is, why Islamic finance is attractive, because it works out really cheap. Islamic finance works out pretty cheap and तुम्हारा risk is divided between the fund provider and the owner. Right? Because in Islam it is prohibited to earn interest. है ना? Because of that concept, you cannot just give a loan and earn interest on it. You have to become partners in whoever you are giving the money. Are we okay? So that is the beauty of Islamic finance. That's why it became very, 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 very popular. Okay, but remember one thing, जो business Islamic finance उठाएगा उसको अपना business Sharia law के हिसाब से चलाना पड़ेगा. They have to keep in mind the Sharia law. तो वो एक थोड़ा ड्रॉबैक हो जाता है कभी कभी, because then you need to be aware of the laws and you need to follow that. Are we okay? So ये याद करो तो एकदम ब्लैंक होगे तो कुछ तो लिखोगे कि चलो सुकूक मतलब डेट होता है. ना वर्ड्स बैठे नहीं। देखो इजारा और सुकूक तो बहुत फेमस सिंपल है। इजारा लीज होता है और सुकूक बॉन्ड्स होते हैं। सुकूक मतलब डेट। हाँ, इजारा एंड सुकूक इज वेरी इजी, है ना? The rest three are confusing. I'm sure they are confusing. अभी बनाओ एक पेपर पे लिखो, चिपका डालो, आते जाते घर में सबके हाथ में चिट्ठी दे दो, आते जाते मुझे ये पूछना, हाँ, कि मुशर्रका मतलब क्या, मुदर्रबा मतलब क्या, मुराबाहा। मुझे लगता है इसमें से एक याद रखो, बाकी तो समझ ही जाओ। मुराबाहा इज ट्रेड क्रेडिट। बाहा राबा राका, या यू राइट। अब मैं क्या ही करूँ, मैंने कभी इसका एक्रोनिम नहीं बनाया। मैंने जैसे बोला भी, लिख के दीवार पे चिपका दो, घर में एक दो जन के हाथ में दे दो, तो बोलो मुझे आते जाते पूछ। ऐसे ही करना पड़ता है, नहीं तो क्या करें, जो तुमको याद नहीं हो रहा है ऐसा ही करना। ठीक है, तो वैसा। अभी इस्लामिक फाइनेंस बीच में तो बहुत ज्यादा फेमस हुआ था, इसलिए बहुत आता था एफएम में, एएफएम में, पर अभी थोड़ा सा कम हुआ है। नाउडेज नॉट सो मच इज कमिंग, सो यू हैव लिटिल शॉर्ट नोट्स 2-3 marks और maybe a little bit of MCQ here and there. Are we okay? So that was Islamic finance. Then if you remember, in between there was suddenly this topic of dividend policy. Yeah, now financing and dividend are two sides of the same coin. Without finalizing your dividend policy, you cannot finalize your financing policy. Because if you know how much money is going towards dividend, then you know what is your deficit and how much finance needs to be raised. Okay, but now the thing is, should we give dividend so much importance? Should we give dividend so much importance, right? So is our dividends important, or is dividend pattern important, and so on so forth was the question. क्योंकि हमें ये तो मालूम है कि dividend हमको impact करेगा, पर क्या dividend को इतना सोचना चाहिए, क्या dividend के पीछे इतना कंपनी ने strategize करना चाहिए? उसका आंसर nobody knows. Don't go and claim that you know the answer. Don't start your answers with dividend is relevant. Who said? Nobody said. All right. So is dividend relevant or no? Dividend important or no? Can be understood by discussing the various theories behind dividend relevance. Theory number 1, irrelevance. Modigliani and Miller said dividend is irrelevant. All right. थ्योरी का आउटलाइन मालूम होना चाहिए कि उन्होंने क्यों बोला डिविडेंड इररेलेवेंट है। वो बोल रहे इन्वेस्टर को तुम रिटर्न दो, कैसे भी दो, हमको फर्क नहीं, उनको डिविडेंड चाहिए, वो शेयर्स बेच के डिविडेंड मैन्युफैक्चर कर लेंगे। ऑल राइट, बट the problem is in reality markets do react to dividend. In reality markets do react to dividend. So market imperfections है, जैसे we saw. What are the reasons why dividend is relevant? The reasons why dividend is relevant is these 4. The first reason is dividend signaling. Yes, investors take signals from the dividends you are declaring. Clientele effect. If I am a pension house, I am a fund house, I want dividends. Tax. If I am low income bracket, I would prefer dividend to capital gains. I am high income bracket, I prefer capital gains to dividend. That is tax ka impact. And last is liquidity requirement. I am a retired person, I want my dividend year on year. Are we okay? So irrelevancy theory says dividend is not relevant, but we see we have practical proof in front of us that dividend is relevant. But the problem is this was not proved. This was not proved. But having said that, whatever it is, conclusion kya hai? Companies do tend to adopt a stable dividend policy. They don't want to take any risk. Are we okay? So that was all about the dividend theories that we had seen. All right. Then we came on to calculating cost of capital. Cost of capital में we are going to take one sources of finance. We are going to see different methods on how to calculate its cost. सबसे easy method था dividend valuation method. ना formula तो सबको आता है मुझे मालूम है, उसके पीछे का logic याद रखो. Dividend valuation can only be used for a company who was famous for declaring dividend. Yeah. In this case, the current share price is determined by the future dividends and discounted at the investor's required rate of return. Cost of equity is equivalent to shareholders' required return found by calculating the IRR of the investor cash flow of ownership of the shares. In short, if you remember, I had told you, market value of any source of finance is equal to the present value of all the future cash flows discounted at investors required rate of return. तो कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल में हम इन्वेस्टर्स रिक्वायर्ड रेट ऑफ रिटर्न लेफ्ट हैंड साइड में ले लेते हैं और मार्केट वैल्यू को राइट हैंड साइड में ले लेते हैं. जब हम बिजनेस वैल्यूएशन करते हैं तब मार्केट वैल्यू को लेफ्ट में लेके इन्वेस्टर्स रिक्वायर्ड रेट ऑफ रिटर्न डिनोमिनेटर में ले लेते हैं. फॉर्मूला वही रहते हैं. Okay, DBM model assumes that dividend will be paid in perpetuity. Dividends are constant or growing at a fixed rate. ठीक है ना. कांस्टेंट डिविडेंड अगर है तो P0 इज इक्वल टू D अपॉन RE, जो हम वैल्यूएशन में यूज करते हैं वही हम यहाँ यूज कर रहे हैं. RE इज इक्वल टू D अपॉन P0. अगर तुम्हारे डिविडेंड में ग्रोथ है तो फॉर्मूला हो गया D1 अपॉन P0 प्लस G. कपल ऑफ थिंग्स टू बी माइंडफुल अबाउट. D1 is next year's dividend. तो करंट डिविडेंड और ग्रोथ मालूम है तो ग्रोथ लगा के अगली साल का डिविडेंड निकालो. P0 कौन सा प्राइस होना चाहिए? हाँ, आज का वो तो ठीक है, बट कौन सा? X डिविडेंड प्राइस. P0 हमेशा X डिविडेंड प्राइस होनी चाहिए, कम डिविडेंड नहीं चाहिए हमको. कम डिविडेंड होगा तो उसमें से डिविडेंड माइनस कर दो. G हम दो तरीकों से फाइंड आउट कर सकते हैं, ज्योमेट्रिक मीन और गॉर्डन्स ग्रोथ फॉर्मूला. अभी ओके? G इज इक्वल टू BRE और फिर वो अंडर रूट वाला फॉर्मूला. अभी ओके? they are copying me. Estimating growth. First method is the averaging method of calculating G and then you have the Gordon's growth. अभी ओके? ये थोड़ा सा बच्चे कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं मेरे बच्चों. अकाउंटिंग रेट ऑफ रिटर्न. इतने तुम अकाउंट्स पढ़ रहे हो बचपन से, ऐसे बचपन मतलब मैं नर्सरी की बात नहीं कर रही. बचपन मतलब तुम्हारा कॉमर्स का बचपन, जब से तुमने कॉमर्स लिया है वो तुम्हारा बचपन हो गया. अभी अकाउंटिंग रेट ऑफ रिटर्न मतलब क्या? द रेट ऑफ रिटर्न यू आर अर्निंग ऑन योर इक्विटी. तो हम हमारा इक्विटी देखेंगे बैलेंस शीट में, हम हमारा PBIT देखेंगे और रिटर्न निकालेंगे. ये थोड़े बच्चे कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं. तो तुम्हारे दिमाग में भी अगर कंफ्यूजन है तो अगेन मेक अ नोट कि ये RE जो है वो एक बार देखिए कैसे कैलकुलेट होता है. RE का मतलब क्या होता है. अभी गुड? ऑनलाइन एवरीबॉडी इज ओके सो फार?
Yes, ma'am.
खुशबू, गिन्नी, इशिका, यू गुड?
Yes, ma'am.
चलो, तो ये था हमारा इक्विटी. फिर आया डेट. याद है तुमको? है ना? डेट में तुमको ऐसे हो गया था कि अभी कब खत्म होगा, है ना? तो डेट बहुत लंबा चौड़ा था क्योंकि डेट में बहुत सारे टाइप्स थे. So when I talk about debt, I could be talking about irredeemable debt or I could be talking about redeemable debt. जिसके नाम में IRR है उसको IRR नहीं निकालने का, जिसके नाम में IRR नहीं है उसका IRR निकालना है. Irredeemable debt is very easy. I upon P0. I upon P0. All right. Then we saw that whole concept of KD1 minus T. This is something you have to be little mindful of. कि कॉस्ट ऑफ डेट किसके पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से निकल रहा है, कंपनी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से या इन्वेस्टर पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से. कंपनी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से KD1 minus T होगा, इन्वेस्टर पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से KD होगा. mathematically KD is not equal to KD1 minus T because of time value of money and discounting. All right, तो पूरा डिस्काउंट करके निकालना पड़ता है KD1 minus T. अभी ओके, वही हम P0 भी निकाल सकते हैं, वैल्यूएशन में वही फॉर्मूला यूज करते हैं, इंटरेस्ट अपॉन कॉस्ट ऑफ डेट. अगर रिडीमेबल डेट है तो फिर हम पूरा कैश फ्लो निकालेंगे, उसको डिस्काउंट करके उसका प्रेजेंट वैल्यू निकालेंगे, और जो प्रेजेंट वैल्यू आने के बाद हम उसका IRR निकालते हैं. IRR इज द कॉस्ट ऑफ डेट. ऑलराइट, कभी कभी कॉस्ट ऑफ डेट दिया होता है, मार्केट वैल्यू निकालने में होता है, कभी मार्केट वैल्यू भी दिया होता है, रिडेम्पशन वैल्यू निकालने में. तो बी माइंडफुल व्हाट हैज बीन आस्क्ड, राइट. फिर हमने इसमें एक वैरायटी देखी थी कन्वर्टिबल डेट की, याद है? उसमें कन्वर्जन वैल्यू और रिडेम्पशन वैल्यू कंपेयर होता है, जो बेटर होगा सारे डेट होल्डर्स वही करेंगे. अभी गुड. I is pre-tax interest, T is tax rate, P0 is current, X interest market value. सब जगह में X dividend और X interest ही चाहिए. Okay. For convertible debt, use a higher of redemption value or conversion value as the redemption cash. Are we good, everybody? Lovely. Once we calculate cost of equity and cost of debt, we use this concept of pool of funds. मतलब क्या, हम एक एक प्रोजेक्ट को इंडिविजुअली नहीं देखते कि ए तेरा फाइनेंसिंग कहाँ से हो रहा है, तेरा फाइनेंसिंग कहाँ से हो रहा है, नहीं. जितना भी फाइनेंस है सब एक ही पूल में जाएगा और वहां से सब फाइनेंस हो. इसीलिए हम क्या कैलकुलेट करते हैं, वैक. इसीलिए वैक कैलकुलेशन होता है. अभी ओके ना. वैक का सुंदर सा फॉर्मूला है, दिखने में बहुत भयानक दिखता है बट है बहुत इजी. Value of equity upon equity plus debt into cost of equity and proportion of debt in the total capital structure into cost of debt. Cost of debt में याद रखना 1 minus T करना. अभी ओके, राइट. और ये सारे कौन से वैल्यूज हैं, मार्केट वैल्यू. We always prefer market value. All right. तुमको याद है ना, हमने टेबल बनाया था. बैक कैलकुलेशन इजी था मेरे को लगता है, नॉट टू मच ऑफ अ चैलेंज, राइट. फिर आया कपैम. कपैम के लिए वन थिंग यू शुड नोट इन योर रिवीजन इज बी क्रिस्टल क्लियर हाउ यू आर गोइंग टू एक्सप्लेन व्हाट इज सिस्टमैटिक रिस्क एंड व्हाट इज अनसिस्टमैटिक. कपैम की जो पूरी थ्योरी है, कपैम का पूरा लॉजिक जो है, पर उस दिन मुझे क्या खुशी हुई यार, हमारा जो ये है ना क्या बोलते हैं यार, हमारे जो फंड क्या बोलते हैं, very bad, whatever. So they were explaining us the return that our portfolio is earning versus the return earned by the overall market. Okay, now we earned less return. So they were explaining us why we earned less return, and they explained to us that how our beta was less. We took less risk. So our beta came to 0.65. I have no idea मुझे जो खुशी हो रही थी, because I was the only one who was understanding. So the moment he said beta was 0.65, I was like, yes, that means we've taken less risk than the market in our overall fund mix, you know. So that was very interesting. So anyway, so beta मतलब basically कपैम जो है, that works on the logic की we cannot calculate the cost of equity without understanding the kind of risk the investor is facing, and that's why we get into the details of कि investor कौन सा risk face करता है. Total risk comprises of systematic risk and unsystematic risk. जिसका नाम सिस्टमैटिक है उसके बारे में इन्वेस्टर कुछ नहीं कर सकता है. इट इज द रिस्क विच इज एसोसिएटेड विद द ओवरऑल मार्केट. एज यू कैन सी, मार्केट वाइड फैक्टर्स सच एज द स्टेट ऑफ द इकोनॉमी. Unsystematic risk is the company specific factor. So unsystematic risk the investor can take care by diversification. सो लॉजिक एक बार वापस ध्यान दो. Total risk which the investor faces, the company tells the investor, unsystematic risk is your headache. If you've taken a risk by investing in us, we cannot do anything. It is your job to diversify. We will compensate you for systematic risk. Are we okay? That's why one cornerstone of CAPAM is diversified portfolio. Diversified portfolio नहीं है तो CAPAM नहीं है. Are we okay? So unsystematic, that is a unique risk, can be diversified by increasing the number of securities. After a point in time तुम कितना भी securities ले लो, उससे ज्यादा तुम diversify कर ही नहीं सकते क्योंकि industries उतनी ही है limited. फिर ये जो हमारा ग्राफ है, it becomes one straight line and that is your systematic risk. Are we okay, everybody? Then comes the meaning of बीटा. बीटा सबको याद है ना? इक्वल टू 0 रिस्क फ्री, इक्वल टू 1 रिस्क इज इक्वल टू मार्केट रिस्क, greater than 1 you are more riskier than market, less than 1 you are less riskier than the market. CAPAM formula, expected return is RF plus beta into bracket RM minus RF. RM minus RF is known as the equity risk premium. It's known as the equity risk or market risk premium. This was all okay, right? CAPAM calculation and all is not too much. Then we come to capital structure. When we come to business, अभी CAPAM तक हमारा हो गया, सारे capitals का cost हमने निकाल दिए. Then we come to the discussion कि कंपनी ने अपना capital structure कैसा रखना चाहिए, मतलब how much debt and how much equity. When we come to capital structure, we are trying to answer the question, how much debt and how much equity. Before we answer the question, how much debt or how much equity, we have to first understand the operating gearing of the company. Operating gearing is a risk which is beyond our control. Financial gearing is the risk which is under our control. So before deciding कि मैं कितना gearing रखूं या मैं कितना debt रखूं capital structure में, businesses should see what is the operating risk. Operating risk, you remember, no? We calculated operating gearing, fixed and variable cost. That is an indication of your operating risk. So if operating risk is high, common sense tells you keep your financial risk low so that overall business risk is low. Are we okay? So before we understand कि capital structure कैसा होना चाहिए, पहले तो देखो कि ज्यादा gearing रख सकते हैं या नहीं. Are we okay? Operating gearing के फॉर्मूला आने चाहिए, fixed cost upon total cost, change in PBIT upon change in revenue and so on so forth, right? Financial gearing सबको आता है, equity gearing, total gearing and interest gearing. Formulas तो अभी मैं क्या ही बोलूं, मतलब it's high time. And the beauty is that you have that one chapter 19. One chapter summarizes all your ratios. Second कौन सा chapter है? Working capital. ये दो ही चैप्टर में तुम्हारे सारे रेशियोज कवर हो जाते हैं. तो ये दो चैप्टर कर लोगे तो सारे रेशियोज तुम्हारे सॉर्टेड. Are we okay? Lovely. You want to take a small break before we go to capital structure and back, because we're going to talk about re-gearing, de-gearing, beta and so on so forth. Break lena hai? Yeah. So we'll take a quick break and then we'll come back. Yeah. So once we are back, then we get into apna capital structure, because all those theories are also there na, quickly to revise. Okay, so what's the time? 10:48. I will see you at 10:58 in 10 minutes. Shall I unpack? गरम है ना, बहुत गरम यार. Yeah, but it's hot, very hot. मतलब it got better, but still it's hot. Not like pleasant to look wow times. It's not like that. चलो, back everybody. चलो, nice. So we saw all this gearing story and all. मतलब capital structure जो chapter है अपना, एक तो cost of capital हो जाता है. So that whole part of the syllabus is for sources of finance. Once you understand sources of finance, you calculate the cost of various sources of finance. And once you have the cost of various sources of finance, then you decide your capital structure. How much debt and how much equity. So in that we've seen that the first thing any business will have to do is calculate its operating risk, because depending on the level of operating risk, you will decide your financial aspect of this entire capital structure point of view, right? Then we then look at how, when you calculate cost of equity and cost of debt, on the face of it, debt is always cheaper. Debt is always cheaper. And one very big reason why debt is cheap is because of, why is debt cheap? Tax relief. The tax relief that you get on interest payment makes debt way cheaper than equity. So should you be introducing more debt in your capital structure because debt is cheap? So debt has a good effect, that is that debt is cheaper than equity and would cause the WACC to fall. Bad effect ये है कि too much of debt will result in your overall risk to increase and cost of equity increases because of financial risk and would cause the WACC to rise, right? So we want more debt in a capital structure, but debt also has a bad effect to it, right? So finally, what do we do with debt? So again, there is no clear-cut answer, is debt good or bad, or how much debt is good or how much debt is bad. And once again, we get into the theories of capital structure. Usme se the most logical and beautiful theory is the traditional view. It immediately appeals to our logic that yes, debt is good. Initially, when you start taking debt, your cost of capital starts falling, because definitely equity is more expensive than debt. You reach a point where your WACC will be the lowest. But after that, if you try to stretch your luck too much and you start taking more and more debt, first of all, debt itself starts becoming expensive. Equity shareholders start becoming very apprehensive and KE also rises. उसका impact क्या हो जाता है? WACC का curve U-turn लेके बढ़ने लगता है. Most commonsensical and beautiful theory, but not proven by any statistics. Okay. Then we have Modigliani and Miller theory without tax. And again, Modigliani and Miller said capital structure is irrelevant. They were like सब आपस में adjust हो जाएंगे, है ना? Debt सस्ता है, cost of equity बढ़ेगा. Cost of equity इतना भी नहीं बढ़ेगा कि debt का saving से ज्यादा हो जाएगा. तो डेट लेने से जो वैक कम होगा, कॉस्ट ऑफ इक्विटी से थोड़ा बढ़ेगा, पर दोनों नॉक ऑफ होके वैक सेम ही रहेगा. सो नो इम्पैक्ट ऑन वैक. एंड देयर लॉजिक वाज investors are rational, investors understand what's happening, and whether you take debt or equity does not make too much of difference to them. But then Modigliani and Miller changed their stance and they said that no, we forgot that debt attracts tax relief. And because of tax relief on debt, debt is way cheaper. Debt is way cheaper. So they said the cost of equity will increase, but the increase in cost of equity is not equal to the savings that we have on cost of debt. Savings is more than cost. Savings is more than the rise in cost of equity. Net result they said was that WACC should fall. So the more debt you take, lesser will be the WACC. And they went to another extreme and they said that optimal capital structure is 99.9% debt. And they successfully proved it by empirical evidence. But the problem is, we all know this. Theory, we know theory is in its place and practical problems are in its place. Too much of gearing results into a lot of issues: bankruptcy risk, agency cost, tax exhaustion, effect on borrowing capacity, risk tolerance, breach of articles of association, and finally debt also will start becoming very, very expensive, right? So we all understand that too much debt is also not good. High levels of gearing has its own problems. Are we okay? So again, what is the optimal capital structure? If there is a question on what is the optimal capital structure, we don't know. We don't know, and we'll sum up all the three theories. Now, one thing remember, my people, if there is a question on importance of capital structure or how should be the capital structure and so on and so forth, everybody has to explain the importance of WACC and the importance of keeping WACC at a low level. Everybody has to, introductory paragraph तुम्हारा यही होगा. What is the importance of WACC and what is the importance of keeping WACC at a low level? What is the importance of keeping WACC at a low level? Market value of any company is equal to its profits, EBIT or cash flows, whatever way you want to value the company, divided by WACC. Divided by WACC. And if we understand basic mathematics and basic rules of math, जितना denominator कम होगा, उतना quotient बढ़ेगा. तो जितना WACC कम होगा, उतना market value बढ़ेगा. So finance managers are continuously in a pursuit of reducing WACC. Are we okay? But now the thing is, in our pursuit to reduce WACC, what do? One option is debt. और तो WACC कैसे कम करें? But debt कम करने का impact क्या होगा? We don't know because we have these three theories. Are we okay, everybody? So this is how your answer should go. So in your section C revision, this is one of the answers you should prepare for. Optimal capital structure. Director A is saying there is an optimal capital structure which can be found out. Finance director is saying no. You are on whose side? You have to be on the finance director side. You are a finance student. And why are you on the finance director side? And you will explain. Are we okay? ऐसे questions आते हैं. So you should be prepared with your theory of this. All right? Lovely. Then we came to why CAPM is more useful when I'm talking about risk profile of the company. And one very important thing that you have to remember is that the beta is a representation of overall risk, overall business risk. Overall business risk, if you remember, the triangle is made up of operating risk and financial risk. Financial risk is because of your gearing. Operating risk is because of the nature of your business. All right. जो gearing तुम्हारा जो बीटा तुम्हारा gearing के वजह से है या financial risk के वजह से है, उसको बोलते हैं equity beta. और जो बीटा सिर्फ तुम्हारा बिजनेस रिलेटेड रिस्क रिप्रेजेंट करता है वो होता है asset beta. Then you remember that whole story that if your company is getting into a completely new area of business, I will take the proxy beta of another company, de-gear it, that is remove its financial risk impact, re-gear it with my financial risk impact, and then use it in company. Are we okay? Here we go. The de-gearing, re-gearing calculation or the calculation to remove asset beta from equity beta and equity beta from asset beta. Okay, very, very important part of the syllabus. Again, you should be clear in your head what's happening. All right. Lovely. So that brings us to the end of the capital structure topic or the business finance topic. Business finance में broadly हमने ये सारी चीजें देखी थी. Are we okay? Anything you remember from a risk management or business finance point of view that was confusing? You want me to take up? Or you can think about it and come back later also if any particular topic we want to do in detail. Are we okay? Otherwise, as I keep telling you again and again, numericals though should be like this, like should be at the back of your hand. Numericals should be so quick that you have ample time to strategize and think about your theory. Yeah, I don't want anybody to tell me that numericals are bothering. Whichever numerical is bothering you, sit down with it, solve to an extent where now you are, okay, it's okay, solve the same question 5 times. But be absolutely thorough with the calculation. We cannot afford to lose marks in numerical. Okay? Lovely. Then we come to the business valuation chapter, and before we start looking at how to value our business, there is this chapter in between where we look at all the financial ratios. So we have n number of financial ratios over here, and we can use them as we feel appropriate in our business valuation. So we have formulas like the ROCE, ROE, profit margin, operating profit margin, asset turnover, EPS, P ratio, DPS, dividend yield, dividend cover, TCR. TCR is a new formula which talks about total shareholder return. Total shareholder return is dividend per share plus change in share price divided by share price at the start of the period. I want to see ki from the start of the period, how much is the total return I have made on my shares. Are we okay? So TCR is a new formula. If further you are not familiar with any of these dividend yield, dividend cover and all, तो एक बार go through कर. Are we okay? Potential problems of ROC we already know. अभी इन्होंने EPS का भी एक potential problem बोला है, does not represent actual income. Of course, no. It is PAT. It is profit. It's a book figure. कितना भी EPS रहने दो, EPS ज्यादा है मतलब डिविडेंड ज्यादा मिलेगा ऐसा कोई गारंटी नहीं है. कैश चाहिए डिविडेंड. All right. ROE is sensitive to gearing level. Dividend yield जो है it ignores capital growth. Dividend yield is focused only on how much dividend the company is declaring, not capital appreciation. Are we okay? So these are all the potential problems. Now, a typical question on ratios. If they don't like you again, they might give you a 20 marker question only on ratio. Only ratios. Our pattern of answering questions on ratios is fixed. First step, calculation. Second step, comment on the numbers. कि current ratio अगर calculate किया है तो current ratio is 2. Then your comment on whether this ratio is looking good or bad. Yes. Previous year figure दिया है तो उससे percentage increase या decrease निकालो. Percentage change निकालो. और लास्ट में डिस्क्लेमर दो कि रेशो गुड है या बैड है, ये हम सिर्फ रेशो को देख के नहीं बोल सकते. आइदर वी नीड लाइक अ पास्ट हिस्ट्री ऑफ दीज रेशोज और वी नीड इंडस्ट्री एवरेज. अभी ओके, आर पैटर्न इज फिक्स्ड. ये पैटर्न फॉलो करोगे तो अगर हर रेशो को 2 मार्क है तो कम से कम 1.5 तो मिल ही जाए. उसके ऊपर सिनेरियो स्पेसिफिक कमेंट कुछ है तो इन्वेंट्री बहुत ज्यादा है, रिसीवेबल स्लो मूविंग है, पेएबल बहुत जल्दी पे कर डालते हैं एंड सो ऑन. और कुछ सिनेरियो स्पेसिफिक होगा तो अभी गुड. अगर रेशो पे क्वेश्चन आया तुमने बोला मैम आई कुड नॉट राइट ना, तो तुम है और मैं हूं. मैंने तुमको पहले भी ये फॉर्मेट दिया हुआ. इतना इजी फॉर्मेट है कि आराम से आंसर भर जाता है 20 मार्क्स. तो डोंट गिव मी crap excuses. Are we good? Lovely. Then we come to the topic of business valuation. Right now, why is valuation important? For n number of reasons. The most famous reason for valuing businesses is for takeover, for merger, for acquisition. Those are the top reasons why businesses get valued. Okay? बाकी तुमको यूं ही शौक है बैठ के अपना बिजनेस वैल्यू करने का तो भी तुम कर सकते, राइट. बट द थिंग इज वैल्यूएशन इज एन आर्ट एंड नॉट अ साइंस. That is why the first sentence here, valuations are subjective and a compromise between buyer and seller. So everything depends on your art of negotiation. Having said that, if I am going to a negotiation table as a buyer or a seller, I'm not just going to go with my art, no. I have to go with some numbers. So where are those numbers coming from? The numbers can come from any of these valuation methods. I will not leave any valuation method. In AFM, when we do a 25 markers or a 50 marker on business valuation, I will try and value my business through all possible methods. All available methods say I will value my business and take out my lowest and highest. And then I go to my negotiation table. Are we okay? Lovely. So when we talk about business valuation, we first have all asset-based valuation. Formula is very simple. Value of all assets minus value of liabilities. First, if your 5 senses are working properly, you should be able to read those special notes below that revalue the assets to so much, current asset इतना नहीं आएगा, current liability ज़्यादा है, and so on so forth. उतना पढ़ लोगे तो asset minus liability करने में time नहीं लगता है, right? Only thing is your value could be balance sheet values, your values could be net realizable value, or your value could be replacement. Are we okay? As a seller, what is our minimum price? NRV. Asset-based valuation is used only to calculate the minimum. And in तीनों में से भी minimum कौन देता है हमें? NRV. NRV gives us the minimum price at which a seller would be ready to sell their business. Okay, buyer point of view से वो कितना देगा? Replacement cost. Cost of setting up a similar company. Are we good, everybody? Lovely. Asset-based valuation are generally on the lower side of valuation. You will usually get a value considerably lower than the market value of all company shares, which reflect goodwill and intangible assets. Companies usually being bought for its future income potential and not its assets. Very rarely companies get acquired for their assets, exception being property companies. So, ब्रोकरेज कंपनी जिनका काम ही प्रॉपर्टी खरीदना बेचना है, उनका एसेट उनके प्रॉपर्टीज है ना. Are we good, everybody? Lovely. Then we value the company based on its dividend earning capacity. Formula remains the same. All right, वही सब झमेला है इधर, वही dividend growth, वही D1, वही ex dividend price, वही growth निकालो and so on so forth. Very useful for minority shareholdings. Let's say 10-20% of acquisition कर रहे हो तुम, तो dividend growth model पे calculate कर सकते हो business value. Are okay? RE may be calculated using CAPM. See, remember one thing, CAPM is any day preferred than TVM. CAPM is any day preferred to TVM. All right? ये तो तुम सोचो ना, अगर मैं ये फॉर्मूला यूज कर रही हूँ बिजनेस वैल्यू करने का और मुझे RE चाहिए, RE के लिए मैं फिर से DVM मेथड यूज करती हूँ. Are you getting the loop? लूप समझ में आ रहा है ना तुमको? इसलिए मैं RE कैसे कैलकुलेट करूंगी? CAPM. Are we good, everybody? Problem क्या है? Very sensitive to changes in inputs. Assumes future dividend growth is constant. Then the most famous and the most practical way of valuing a business, that is the price earning ratios, because my biggest attraction in a company is the future earnings. Okay, we calculate something called as the PE ratio, which is nothing but the market price upon earnings per share. जो ये PE हम निकालते हैं, इसको हम बोलते हैं PE multiple. How much is the price of the company based on its earning? Is the price of the company 8 times, 10 times, 15 times? Are you getting it? So these are the number of times we are calculating. How many times is a company able to multiply its earnings when it comes to its share price? Okay, P हाथ में आ गया तो valuation को time नहीं लगता है. Earning से P ratio multiply करो या per share के लिए EPS into P ratio multiply. We are sorted. Are we okay? What is the issue here? Unlisted company होगी तो क्या करोगे? Market price EPS, I mean market price P निकल नहीं सकता है. Unlisted companies का P ratio नहीं निकलता है. फिर वही proxy P लो, उसको adjust करो और तुम्हारी कंपनी के लिए use करो. Okay? Then EY, that is earnings yield valuation, exactly opposite of PE ratio. I'm sorry. Earnings yield is your dividend yield only, dividend valuation model, but instead of dividend, we are using earnings. Look at the formula, earnings into 1 plus G divided by earnings yield minus G. Are we okay? What is earnings yield? Earnings yield is ulta of PE. Earnings yield is reverse of PE. Are we okay? This is your earnings yield calculation. Formula भी तुम देखो ना यहाँ पे value of the company is total earnings divided by earnings yield. PE में क्या था? Value of the company is total earnings into PE. Because earnings yield is reverse of PE, we divide it. Are we okay, everybody? Problems are same as that of the PE ratio. Are we good? Next method of valuation is the DCF method, the discounted cash flow method. All right. Again, very practical and useful method of business valuation, because either I am acquiring the company for its earning potential or I am acquiring the company for its cash generating potential. If I am acquiring the company for its cash earning potential, I will use the DCF method. Are we okay? It's very simple. I calculate my cash flows. I calculate the cash flows. So we calculate a company-wide NPV using details of all future company cash flows and the company discount rate. What is the problem with this method? Estimate hai sara. I'm trying to predict in future the company is going to give me how many cash flows. So it's an estimate. It assumes discount rate and tax rates are constant throughout the period and it does not evaluate further options. Are we okay? That's the problem with DCF method. Otherwise DCF को भी हम DBF with growth formula लगाते हैं. I don't know whether you all remember that part. See, जैसे डिविडेंड होता है कि डिविडेंड एक ही डिविडेंड है और कांस्टेंट है, तो हम सिंपल डीबीएम मॉडल लगाते हैं, है ना. डिविडेंड अपॉन कॉस्ट ऑफ इक्विटी पीरियड, दैट्स द वैल्यू ऑफ द कंपनी. बट इफ डिविडेंड इज गोइंग टू ग्रो एट अ रेट, then I use the DBM with growth model. Exactly the same with the DCF. If I think कि कंपनी सालों साल एक ही कैश फ्लो देने वाली है, तो सिंपली कैश फ्लो डिवाइडेड बाय कॉस्ट ऑफ इक्विटी, बिजनेस का वैल्यू मिल गया. पर अगर मुझे लगता है कि कैश फ्लोज बढ़ने वाले हैं, तो मैं ग्रोथ रेट निकाल के, जैसे डिविडेंड ग्रोथ मॉडल है वैसा डीसीएफ ग्रोथ मॉडल, सेम थिंग, डीसीएफ इनटू ब्रैकेट 1 plus G, 1 plus the growth rate divided by RE minus G. Are we okay? तो अगर कैश फ्लोज को ग्रो करने की पॉसिबिलिटी है, तो देन यू विल यूज द डीसीएफ ग्रोथ मॉडल. Are we okay? Now, cost of capital and business valuation formulas are the same. Again, when you sit to revise this chapter, I would recommend list बनाओ formulas. सारे जितने भी वैल्यूएशन के फॉर्मूलाज है, वैल्यूएशन का फॉर्मूला मालूम है तो कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल का फॉर्मूला मालूम है, कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल मालूम है तो वैल्यूएशन, इट्स वन एंड द सेम थिंग. Make a list and keep. It's easier. Are we good, everybody? Look. Then we come to the last part of this. I hope you understand I hope you understand what they're trying to say over here in the last part. They are saying, तुमने इतनी मेहनत की, business को value किया. At lot of places, while valuing the business, you've taken the market price of the share. Now they are raising a question कि ये जो तुमने market price of the share उठाया है market से, how dependable is that share price? How dependable is that share price? Now, how dependable is the share price depends on your market efficiency. Are we okay? If your market is weak form, then the share price of the company is just a reflection of all the past prices. Historically, share price क्या था, वो market price हो गया, खत्म. I don't want to depend on such a share price, because I'm not acquiring the company for what happened to it in the past. I'm acquiring the company for what can happen in the future. तो अगर weak form efficient market है, तो market price of the share पे depend रहने का नहीं. अब ये ट्रिकी टॉपिक है मेरे बच्चों, प्लीज ध्यान से रिवाइज करो. 6 मार्क तो किधर नहीं गए ये सारे फॉर्म्स ऑफ मार्केट पे. छोटा टॉपिक है पर इसके ऊपर क्वेश्चंस आते ही आते हैं. Those all who attended my lectures in the end when we were doing this topic, you would have realized the MCQs were tricky. You have to really focus and think before blindly going and ticking something. Especially those, how will you make money in a weak form? If I am making money by insider trading, I am in what form market? तो उसका नीचे का market form में है हम. Yeah, semi-strong. So all those questions were a little tricky. All right. Anyways, weak form share prices reflect all known publicly available past information about companies and their shares. Impossible to predict future share price movements from historical pattern, and that's why share prices follow a random form. We don't know which way it is going, and because we have no idea about the future. Okay? Then you could be a semi-strong, which is the best type of market to be in. In semi-strong, share prices reflect historical information about the companies and respond immediately to other publicly available information. Best. सबसे aware investors होंगे semi strong में. They are smart, they are aware, they have all publicly available information. Evidence suggests most leading stock markets are semi strong. Are we okay? Last is strong. नाम का strong है. But do we want to be strong form? In strong form, I have all the insider information also, which is not good. इसका मतलब Q1 result, no effect on the stock market. Company bankrupt हो गई, no effect on the stock market. So we don't want to be in a strong form. Share prices reflect all information about companies, including information that has not yet been made public. Publication of new information does not have an impact on the share price, and it is unlikely that strong form exists in reality. कोई evidence नहीं है world over. Weak market तो फिर भी है, but strong form नहीं. Are we okay? Then we come to the last part कि चलो अभी हमको तो ये बात मालूम ही है, थ्योरी तो हम हजारों पढ़ते हैं, but reality कुछ और ही होती है. तो हम कितना भी स्टडी करें, मार्केट फॉर्म, दिस दैट एक्सेट्रा, but are we able to consistently make money on the stock market? No. Why we are not able to make money on the stock market? Two reasons. One is efficient market hypothesis, and second is behavioral finance. Investors are not rational, and investors का जो behavior है, that has been studied and names have been given to those behaviors. So hoarding, stock market bubble, noise trader, loss aversion, momentum effect, all these are behavioral patterns of investors. And it is because of these patterns that the market is not efficient. Are we okay? Right? So that was behavioral finance. That was the last topic. So many months of studies and we wound up in 2 days. Of course, as I keep telling you, idea of revision is just to again quickly remind you what all is there in the syllabus, and more for you to make notes on where are you lacking, where you need to put more focus on, and so on. Are we okay? Now, after today, you need to focus on the topics where you think you are weak. Okay. From my point of view, the next thing I want from you is Kaplan and BPP. I want Kaplan BPP. Till you don't sit to do Kaplan BPP, क्योंकि जिस दिन Kaplan BPP करोगे वो 3 दिन तुमको और कुछ टाइम नहीं मिलने वाला है. पूरा टाइम तुम्हारा Kaplan और BPP में जाने वाला है. तो उसके पहले 2-3 दिन सेक्शन सी का अच्छा प्रैक्टिस करो. अभी ओके? तो अभी थोड़ा सेक्शन सी हो जाएगा, सेक्शन ए और बी हो जाएगा, फिर फर्स्ट मॉक के बाद देखते हैं किसका क्या हाल है. Hopefully after the first mock I'm able to give you some feedback on where you stand and where you need to focus on. Are we good? Anybody, any questions? Generally, if you all are confused about your study schedule, you're confused about how to go about it, not sure, please feel free to ask. Huh? हाँ.
टॉपिक्स सपोज अभी मैंने नोट कर रहा है क्या क्या नहीं आ रहा है, तो वो टॉपिक का भी मैं करके करूँ नहीं आ रहा है तो.
पर अभी देखो, अभी तक का प्लान सॉल्व करने को टाइम है ना, तो उतने में वो टॉपिक्स रिवाइज कर लो. हाँ, तो आइडिया वही है कि जब एक साथ बैठ के सारे टॉपिक्स का सेक्शन ए बी करोगे तो ये ध्यान में आएगा कि कौन से टॉपिक्स के क्वेश्चन नहीं आ रहे हैं, तो यू कैन ट्वीक योर शेड्यूल अकॉर्डिंगली. कि चलो सबसे ज्यादा हम अटक रहे हैं बिजनेस वैल्यूएशन में, तो उस पर ज्यादा फोकस करना है, या वॉट एवर इज योर टॉपिक। ये फॉर्मूलाज याद नहीं आते हैं, ये कॉन्सेप्ट ही मैंने कभी सुना नहीं। आई होप ऐसा तो नहीं, बट अगर हुआ तो वो ये कब पढ़ा था, ऐसा तो नहीं है तुम्हारा हाल? नहीं ना, दैट्स द आइडिया ना, बेसिकली सॉल्व करते हैं तो समझ में आता है, वेर यू स्टैंड, कॉन्फिडेंस बढ़ता है, या तो बढ़ेगा या टूटेगा तो। हाँ ठीक है, लवली। फर्स्ट मॉक जो है यहाँ आके लिखना है तो लिख, यू कैन कम हियर एंड राइट, क्लास इज ओपन, आई एम ऑल्सो देयर, you all want to come here and write your first mock, I'll be happy. You'll be able to time yourself. थोड़ा ऐसा एग्जाम प्रेशर टाइप भी लगेगा, ऐसा घर में ही हूँ, ये खा लिया, वो पी लिया, इसको हाय बोल दिया, फिर मॉक लिखा, वैसा तो नहीं होगा कम से कम हाल। डिसिप्लिन रहेगा थोड़ा, एंड इट हेल्प्स अ लॉट, बिलीव मी इट हेल्प्स अ लॉट। अभी ओके, और मैं तो बोलती हूँ फर्स्ट मॉक के जो सेक्शन सी है, प्रैक्टिस प्लेटफॉर्म पे। एनीवेज तुम्हारा पहला मॉक प्रैक्टिस प्लेटफॉर्म का ही है, इज फ्रॉम द प्रैक्टिस प्लेटफॉर्म ओनली, तो ए बी तो उधर ही करेक्ट होके तुम्हें मिल जाएगा आंसर। खाली सेक्शन सी जो है वो तुमको कॉपी पेस्ट करके मुझे भेजना पड़ेगा फॉर मी टू मार्क योर। अभी गुड, लवली। So please feel free to come here. I can get a dongle for you. अगर connection problem है यहाँ पे, I can get one dongle. You can connect to the dongle or whatever. यहाँ पे थोड़ा वाईफाई का इशू है ना, कि वाईफाई पासवर्ड I can't give. ठीक है, but let me know. I will ask anyways on the group who all want to come here and write the mock. Let me know. Highly recommended to come and write the mock. 20 तारीख को है, ठीक है? Okay, चलो, all the best. And what else can you do? You have to keep studying only right now. So there is nothing else to be done. Huh? Chalo, I'll see you then. Actually, my next class or my meeting would be now when we discuss the first mock only. Correct? Yeah. But in the meantime, I'll be tracking your submissions and all. Yeah. Chalo, I'll see you then. Bye bye.
Bye, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Bye bye.
Bye, ma'am.